What is the image that comes to your mind when I say the word entrepreneur? Perhaps someone in the Bahamas with a pina colada in one hand, an iPad in another, checking out the bank balance. To me personally, the minute I think of the word entrepreneur, the image that comes to my mind is that of Jean-Francois Blondin. Now, Blondin was a man who lived in the 19th century, and he was considered to be the greatest tightrope walker ever. He's said to have walked on stilts, blindfolded, with baggage strapped to his back, and his greatest claim to fame was the fact that he crossed the Niagara. Blondin took a break, and after a while when he resurfaced, scores of people joined him to find out as to what he was up to. He tied a rope from one end of a building to another. He looked at the audience and he said, "Do you think I can cross the rope from here to there?" They all screamed in unison, "Yes, Blondin, you can do it. After all, you're the best in the world." He took a wheelbarrow, placed it in front of them and said, "Do you think I can take this wheelbarrow from here to there?" And again they roared, "Yes, Blondin, you can do it. After all, you're the best in the world." He took a sack of potatoes, placed it in the wheelbarrow, and he said, "Do you think I can take the sack of potatoes with the wheelbarrow from here to there?" They again screamed, "Yes, Blondin, you can do it. After all, you're the best in the world." He took the sack of potatoes, placed it aside, and he said, "Now I want one of you to sit here." People looked away. Blondin smiled and said, "It is one thing to believe, it's another thing to take a leap of faith. It's one thing to believe, it's another thing to take a leap of faith." That, to me, is the image of an entrepreneur. A person walking in a tightrope, sometimes blindfolded, sometimes on stilts, sometimes with a child strapped on his back, sometimes becoming the child, sometimes carrying a wheelbarrow full of the dreams and aspirations and dreams of everybody, not only himself. The big question, why would someone want to take a journey like that? The bigger question, what other options do we have? Work life? Well, let me present work life to you in a nutshell. You wake up early in the morning after a bad night rest because you've not slept, you've been working the whole night, and you finish your morning chores and you navigate through the traffic, through rush hour. You manage to make it to your office, and in the office, the security guard doesn't allow you inside because you don't have an access card. He values only your access card. He doesn't know your name. He doesn't even care. The only thing that he cares for is the access card. You manage to somehow pull out the access card, and for you to enter your department, you need to fill in the biometric details that are captured by a biometric device. And only if you fill in the details, like, would you get an entry into the office, and you made too many entries and exits, you're answerable to some higher authority, and you're looking forward to the only best part of your day, which is the break. But even the break, you're evaluated by people. People judge you for the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you work, with whom you work, why you work, how much you work. And you put on a mask, a Halloween mask, throughout the entire year, and you wait for the entire month to get over, and you get the salary, which is the best part of the entire month. But you find that your salary is at a constant, but your expenses is on the increase. So you want to take up an additional certification, you want to take up an additional degree, you believe that yes, that could make a world of a difference, but suddenly you realize that there's an incremental increase in your income, but an exponential excess as far as your expenditure is concerned. So I think the answer to that solution lies in you quitting your job, quitting the industry. So you find another job, but you find it's the same shit, only different assholes. And by the time you find it's too late for you to change your job or change your industry because you're already married, you have 2 kids, one needing braces, second needing higher education, you've taken a car loan, you've taken a home loan, and you've let the years pass into decades, and the decades pass into second decade, third decade, fourth decade, and by the time you realize you're already on the verge of retirement, so the company calls for a surprise party, and it's no surprise to you because you know it's a standard operating procedure. They'll give you the same plaque, they give you the same citation, they give you the same bouquet, again standard operating procedure according to HR. And the president comes and he recites the same line that he mentions to each and every single person, saying how he will miss you and everything. So you go ahead and take everything and you walk back, you wave at the security guard who still doesn't know your name, he still doesn't care. You go back to your home and you wonder as to what you've been doing your entire life. Hardly 10 people knew you in your entire work life, and you've been nothing more than another brick in the wall. You've been nothing but yet another face in the crowd. You've been nothing but an access card, a biometric, and you've lived your entire life working for the dreams of somebody else. This is work life. And that is what entrepreneurs tell to console themselves. Work life is not that bad. The kind of fancy salaries, the kind of on-site opportunities, the kind of stock options presented today, it's not that bad. But entrepreneurship gives you a better shot at life. And the problem with most people is they start at the wrong place. The first dot is necessarily not the best dot. Most people start with the idea. Ask 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs, what is your big idea? They'll be so excited because that's a question they've been waiting for. When I started my first business, which was a creative hot shop, just a fancy term for an advertising agency, we wanted to be a bit creative. Well, we had a big idea. The differentiator was very simple. We said we'll call ourselves the 24-hour creative hot shop, which means if you want a digital campaign to be done, in 24 hours we'll furnish the creatives. You want a corporate film to be done, you want a television commercial to be done, in 24 hours we'll furnish the script to you. So we are the 24-hour differentiators in the industry. But the problem was this. People would take more than 24 hours to approve that idea. They would take a week, a fortnight, a month, sometimes a couple of months with a series of iterations that you completely lose sight of what your original idea was. The problem of being obsessed with an idea is the fact that you get possessed with it, that it's difficult for you to pivot. So there's a better place to start off your entrepreneurial ventures. How many of you have seen a movie called Pulp Fiction? There's this beautiful scene in that movie. Samuel Jackson is driving a car. John Travolta is sitting next to him. There's a boy in the back seat. His name is Marvin. And they both are having a heated conversation about some mundane issue. John Travolta has got a gun in his hand. And he's toying with the gun, and bang! He fires a bullet by accident. It strikes Marvin, and Marvin dies on the spot. Samuel Jackson is livid, absolutely furious, because the backseat is a total mess. There's blood splattered all around. And he's on the highway. If the cops were to catch him, yes, he could get into some serious trouble. So he calls up Quentin Tarantino, who does a cameo in the movie, and he says, I need help. There's a dead body in the backseat, and the car needs cleaning. And Quentin Tarantino calls up this individual who's a professional. I just love this person's entry into the company, into the movie. He rings the doorbell. Tarantino opens the door. He says, my name is Winston Wolfe. I solve problems. My name is Winston Wolfe. I solve problems. That to me is the shortest and the best elevator pitch ever. I'm Winston Wolfe. I solve problems. So starting with problems is actually a wonderful place. The good news is this. You don't need to ask people what their problems are. Just make an informal greeting. How are you? They list all their problems. If you have the time, they'll list the neighbor's problems also. Unfortunately, we live in a society that does not know the distinction between how are you as a greeting and as a question. They think it's more than a greeting, it's a question, so they list all their problems. So the minute you identify a problem, own the problem. The difference between owning a problem and merely looking at a problem to solve it is a difference between commitment and involvement. In Agile coaching, there's this beautiful story that is said. A pig and a hen want to start a business. Now, they're dabbling as to what is a name to give to that business. And the hen says, well, let's call it ham and eggs. The pig is not happy. The pig says, excuse me, you're just involved in the process by just laying a few eggs and contributing towards the business. But I'm committed to the business in giving my entire life for it. That is the difference between owning a problem and merely looking at a problem. Commitment. His name was Arunachalam Muruganandan. He's called the Padman of India. He identified a problem. And the problem was the women in his household and his neighborhood had a problem when they are having their menstrual cycles. The products that are available in the market were far too expensive, and they were using all these rag cloths, which is not hygienic. So he wanted to come up with a solution for the same. So he decided to go to the market, buy a bladder, put it on himself, buy some animal blood, put it inside, and try to wear the products that he invented and find out as to whether they had the tolerance levels for the bleeding. He owned the problem. Look at the most successful companies in today's world. What are they doing? They're solving problems. You want to find information? What do? You Google it. This evening you want to have dinner and you're too lazy to cook, and you're too tired to step out, what do? Yes, you know your food apps very well. You want to go to a movie, and you're too lazy to go and find a parking space, book it and book my show or whatever. What do? Fantastic. Netflix, Amazon Prime, one of the streaming sites. And the advantage is this: you can pause the movie whenever you want. Imagine me going to a multiplex and I get a call from one of my clients. I cannot say, operator, please stop the movie. Just stop this movie. I mean, I'll come back to you tomorrow or probably the day after, and you got to play this movie at the exact same place. He's going to think you're insane. But doesn't think you're insane because they understand your problem, they own your problem, and they give you a solution that caters to it. Now, once you identify the problems to be solved, you own the problem, find a solution for the same. Now, every problem has a solution. If a problem does not have a solution, it is just a fact. The earth is round in shape. It's a fact. You have a problem with it, God help you. The sun is a ball of fire. It's a fact. You have a problem with it? Again, God help you. But that ball of fire is causing sunburns to you. You have a problem with that? Find a solution for it. You're in business. Once you are able to distinguish facts from problems and you're able to find the solution, the last step is this: hitch your solution to a revenue model. If your customer is not willing to pay you for the solution that you're going to provide, then you're not in business, you're just a do-gooder. You're just a person with an altruistic mindset. Can you find a way in which your customer can possibly find a way to reward you for your problem, for the solution that you're providing for the problem? Now, the bigger the problem, the bigger the solution, and greater the reward. So, my dear friends, this is my simple formula for you to succeed as an entrepreneur. TEDx as a platform TEDx is a platform for ideas worth sharing. I believe entrepreneurship is a platform for problems worth solving. So look at the person to your left and say, if you have a problem, I have a solution. There's only one man who's telling that to his wife. Look to your left and say, if you have a problem, I have a solution. Look to your left. Look behind you and say, if you are the problem, God help you. So congratulations, you people have just kindled the entrepreneurial spirit in you. And if you want to take the journey of an entrepreneur, just remember, a good place to start is a light bulb, is the idea of starting with an idea, the light bulb moment. But there's a better place to start. Go to a place where people are having a problem with darkness and let your solution be the light or be the one thing that they're willing to pay you for. My name is DJ, I'm an entrepreneur, and I solve problems.